Hey everybody, and welcome back to Connerty Meadows Farm. My name is Ricky, and today we are in the kitchen and we are going to make another cheese. Today our cheese is coming from this book. This is the book that we generally use for all of our cheeses, and we are going to make Parmesan. Now, much like the Romano that we made, Parmesan also is going to be a fairly, in terms of making cheese, fairly quick cheese to make, but the cure time for Romano, for Parmesan, is very, very long. We have Parmesan in our fridge that is over a year old, and even though you can kind of tell that it has a little bit of a Parmesan-y taste, it is not there yet. Hopefully, within another year, we will have some really nice Parmesans. The other thing you need to know for Parmesan, again, much like Romano, you will be standing in front of the stove for a long period of time at one point. So when we are heating up the curd, we are going to be standing in front of the stove for an hour straight stirring. You cannot stop stirring in this hour. So get a podcast, get a book, get a movie, get a something, and stand in front of the stove and stir for your hour. All right, so Parmesan is another one of those cheeses that if you're like us and you have a cowlick jersey in it, you got a lot of cream. Parmesan can handle you taking a little bit of cream off the top. So we're actually gonna just take a smidge of cream off the top of our jars, and we're just gonna use that cream to make some butter. Not a lot, just a little bit. So to take the cream off, the first thing I'm gonna do is scoop the thicker, heavier cream on the top. And then I just use a turkey baster to suck off the top of the cream. Now, if I wanted to use a cream separator, which I do have, the milk would actually have to be heated, and the cream separator takes a really long time to clean. So this is just a lot faster. Scooping the thick stuff and then turkey basting it off. And that's really the easiest way it is to skim the cream off the top. And then I have cream that I can make butter with. Right, this big old pot, we're going to fill it partway full of water, and this is going to be our double boiler. And I know it's not technically a double boiler because the pot is going to be sitting on the bottom, but it does have its use, and it has to be bigger than the pot that you're putting the milk into. So we're going to go ahead, put the milk into our big old pot. Now we have about 12 liters of milk going into this pot. It'll be slightly less just because we did take some cream off the top, but essentially it's about 12 liters of milk. And you can see me shaking the jugs, and I'm doing that to mix in the last bit of cream that we've left in there because we only did take a little bit off the top. So we just need to shake it all in just to get it off the edges of the jar, and then we can take this pot of milk, put it over on our double boiler, get our thermometer ready there, and we're just going to give it a quick stir to integrate the last of that cream and just kind of mix it all together, and we're ready for the next step. So we are at 55.7 degrees Fahrenheit. We are aiming to go to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So the first thing we're going to have to do is we're going to turn our stove on. And we have a double boiler or a double flame on this element. So we have a propane stove. So I don't know if you guys can see that double. Let me do it again. So do you see how there's an inside and an outside ring? So we're going to turn it all the way down till it's just on low of the single smaller ring. That way we're heating up this milk very slowly. The other thing we have is our double boiler, and if you've watched our videos, you'll know double boiler helps distribute the heat, helps keep the heat, and helps keep the bottom of the pot with your milk from scorching. So we got a little ways to go. We're periodically going to come in, stir this, make sure we get to 90 degrees Fahrenheit before we're going to add our culture. Temperature check and a quick stir. 82. All right, we are at 90 degrees. We're gonna go ahead and we're going to shut the oven off now. And then we are going to add our cultures. When we add our cultures, we're gonna take the thermometer out for this part. It doesn't need to be in. So our cultures for Parmesan are Meso 2 and Thermo B. And we are going to use half a teaspoon of each. We're just going to take and sprinkle it on the surface. Now these get stored in the freezer when they're not in use. I'll bring you up close so you can see the other one being put in. So we just sprinkle that on the surface. And then we're gonna let this sit on the surface for about 5 to 10 minutes. And then we'll come back and we'll stir it in gently. Okay, we've had about 8 minutes or so. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna mix this now. So we're just gonna do up and down strokes. I'm gonna do 20 of them. So stick to the speed that you just saw me do. This has been sped up a bit because I don't think you want to sit there and watch me go up and down 20 times slowly. But you do need to do it relatively slow. We're not trying to make big whirlpools and whatnot in there. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and we are going to let this sit for 30 minutes. So we'll just put our timer on and put our lid on. And it will just ripen for the 30 minutes and then we will come back. So the next step in making our cheese is we're going to add calcium chloride. Now I know you guys are going to say, oh, you're using raw milk, you don't need to use calcium chloride. We use calcium chloride for 2 reasons. One is that we are in the 10th month of her lactation, so we're really late in lactation. So you would definitely use calcium chloride later in lactation. And the second reason why we use calcium chloride is because it keeps the taste, the texture, and everything about the cheese the same through the whole time that she's in milk. So whether we are in the middle of summer and she is eating only grass, or right now we're in the middle of winter and she's eating only hay, there's going to be a different taste that happens. So using calcium chloride makes sure that that taste stays consistent. In order to use calcium chloride, you need to mix it with 1/4 cup of cool water, non-chlorinated. And since we live in the country and we have a well, we use our well water. So we add 3/4 teaspoon of calcium chloride to the water. And then we're gonna add this into our milk. And just like our previous up and down 20 strokes, you're actually doing the same thing when you put the calcium chloride and the rennet in. Now, again, this has been sped up, so it looks a lot faster than it really is, but just take your time. This is not, we're not making butter. We're just going low, a little slow here. Now we're gonna wait 5 minutes and then we're gonna add our rennet. I'm just gonna go ahead and get it ready. Same thing, 1/4 cup of cool non-chlorinated water and 3/4 teaspoon of rennet. Now we're going to add the rennet, and again, 20 up and down strokes. And again, yep, I'm speeding this up for you because no one really wants to sit and watch me go very slowly. But it's more just to show you the step by step and the technique involved in it so that you know what you're doing. Now you're going to let your cheese coagulate, and that's going to need 45 minutes. So no heat, no added heat, no nothing. Just put your lid on and put your timer on for 45 minutes. 45 minutes is up, so let's go ahead and check for a clean break. So what we're looking for is when we cut in and move it to the side, that there is a nice clean break. So if you can see what I'm talking about, it's actually spinning in the pot, but so that's a perfect clean break. So we're gonna go ahead and cut it up now. We like to use this whisk because you're gonna be stirring it anyway. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're going to cut the curd using this. So what we do is we put it in and stir on our way up. So just kind of twist. Now I know most of your books and most of your other videos and most people are gonna tell you 1 inch cube, this, that, yada, yada, yada. We've done both. We've had proper tools to do your 1 inch cube. We've done the whole thing, and the end result, there's no difference. So we just, instead of messing up another tool, we just go ahead and use the whisk. So we're just gonna gently cut through all the curd. So we're just bringing stuff up from the bottom, sometimes some of the bigger ones stuck in there. That looks pretty good. I think we've got most of it cut at this point. Oh, if you look right here, you can see there's some bigger pieces. Over here in the corner, you'll see that there's some bigger pieces. So that's what we're working on. Just want to get some uniform. Okay, so now that we have this all cut up, what we are going to do is we are going to turn the heat on. And again, we're gonna put it on to low, just like the same way we did when we were warming this up. And we're gonna put our thermometer in here. And we are now aiming for the temperature of 124. What we are doing is going to be stirring the whole time. So this is where I said, get a podcast, get a movie, get a book, get whatever you need. But we're gonna set the timer for 1 hour. And we are gently going to stir for that entire hour while this is heating up. Currently we're sitting at 87.2, and again we are going to 124. The reason why you're stirring for this whole hour gently and slowly, one is as you stir you release more whey, therefore ensuring a bit of a drier cheese, which we all know Parmesan is. And number two, as you heat this, it is going to start to want to clump together. So our job in stirring is to make sure that it doesn't clump together or stick to the bottom of the pot. That's it. You can just see I'm gonna stand here for the next hour, just gently stirring like this. And if you notice it getting clumped up, you can just wiggle it around in there and it all comes out. All right, I'll see you back here in an hour. We have got about a half an hour left and we are at 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit. Now you may find as you get closer to the hour, your temperature is going up too quickly. Then you would need to turn your heat down. If you find that it's not going quickly enough, then you'll need to turn your heat up. This is going to be completely dependent on your stove, but the best is just to kind of keep it mid to low. You definitely don't want to be turning it all the way up to high. Generally for us, that low heat that I showed you with like the little middle burner is what we use to do all of our cheeses. And it tends to be the temperature that works really, really well. But having the double boiler also helps with that distributing of heat. So anyway, just keep stirring, just keep stirring. See you in half an hour. Got about 10 minutes left, and I was only at about 110 degrees, so I flipped up to medium heat now. I'm just gonna keep stirring. We're just gonna keep an eye on heat and temperature. 123.9. We've been on medium heat since the last update there. Oh, 124. Okay, so we're gonna shut the temperature down, take out this thermometer, and the next thing we're going to do is the texture test. Now this is really hot, so be careful. The texture test basically is just us determining whether or not it's gonna hold its shape, so we can get ready to put it in its mold. So what I'm going to do to try to not get burnt, I don't know if you can see the steam coming off this, so this is pretty hot. We're just gonna get a little bit of the cheese here. Ooh, it's really hot. Let as much drain as I can. All right, we're gonna squeeze it, and does it hold its shape? Even me moving it around? Yes, it does. That means this is ready to mold up. So that means first we're gonna let this settle to the bottom of the pot for 5 minutes. So we're gonna put this on for 5 minutes. And while we're waiting, we're gonna put the kettle on, and we are going to get the colander ready. I'm going to fill my kettle. While the kettle's boiling, I'm going to put my cheesecloth in. Now this cheesecloth is more like plasticky, and what I'm using to hold it on are stainless steel clothespins. These clothespins are dedicated just for cheese making. And I fold the cheesecloth in and I pin it on. You could in fact obviously have a bigger cheesecloth. I don't like having big tails. I don't find that it presses as nice. So I cut it fairly small, and then I just pin it on. So here you can see me, I'm pouring the boiling water over the cheesecloth. So that helps disinfect the cheesecloth, but what it also does is warm up the colander, so the whey and the cheese going into the colander don't have a bit of a shock from it being cold at all. And since I'm doing this myself, it's easier to pour down onto the floor because these pots are fairly heavy. So I just put the secondary pot on the floor and then put the colander in that. Scrape out all the extra bits of cheese, and then we are going to move the cheese that's in the colander to the other pot. And then the whey that's left over, you can make things with. You can feed it to your animals. You can ferment feed. You can put it on your roses or your raspberries, down your toilet if you have a septic, lots of things. Anyway, let's move on. We're going to get this cheese pressed. So I move the shape thing over and push it down in the colander so I just don't get whey everywhere. And then I very carefully fold the sides in. And as you can see, I really struggled to get the press put down properly. So I was just taking my time, pressing a little, letting up, pressing a little, letting up. And that was helping get enough whey out that I could finally get the little twisties on. And this is the whey coming out. Now, right now, this is sitting flat, and we always grab a wooden spoon, which you saw me there, put underneath, and so it tilts it a little bit. And then the tilting just enough so that the whey drips out. And you want a nice, steady drip of whey. After an hour, I am coming back here, which you see me do. We're going to unscrew. We're going to flip, or what's also called redressing the cheese. So what you're going to see happen here is I'm going to take the cheesecloth off, And then the bottom is going to become the top, and the top is going to become the bottom. So just carefully kind of rearrange the cheesecloth on it and flip it. Now, again, this is plasticky cheesecloth. It does tear fairly easily, so you gotta be careful not to snag it on the edges of the two poles, which I have done in the past, which is also why when I first put the cheese into the cylinder, I do it in the colander so that I don't worry about getting stuck on the poles. And now it's easier to go ahead and screw it down simply because we've squished a bunch of the whey out. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a second pressing, and this one we're going to leave for 12 hours, which I usually do for overnight. So here we are the next morning. We are going to take it out of its mold, and it's going to go in a salt brine. So for the weight of this particular cheese, if you use the book that we have, it tells you how long to leave it in the salt brine depending on the size of the cheese. So this cheese was actually fairly large, so we ended up leaving it in the brine for, I think it was like 18 hours. So we pop it in the brine, and then halfway through, we're going to flip it. And as you can see, it is floating, which means that my brine is at a good brining level. We're going to flip it, and then we're going to leave it for the other half of the time. Once the other half of the time is done, we're going to take it out of the brine, and I had another cheese in there that needed to come out, so I just took them both out at the same time. We are then going to take it and we're going to put it on our shelf, our cheese shelf. We just have it in our kitchen to air dry. And while it's air drying, we are going to flip it 2 to 3 times a day to help make sure that the air is moving all around it. And just to give you an idea of what my cheese shelf looks like. And then the next thing we're going to do after it's dried for 3 to 4 days, depending, we're going to put the cheese wax on it. Now, I did not get a video of me waxing that particular Parmesan, but this is another cheese that I had to wax. So just to show you the process, this is a cream cheese mold inhibiting wax. Do you need to use it? No, but we've had really good success using it, and now we use it for all of our cheeses. So you're going to need to put 2 coats of this on, let it dry between the coats. So I just do like the outside and the top, put it on the shelf, let it dry, flip it, do that, and we're going to do that till we get 2 coats. Once our 2 coats are done, we're going to shrink wrap our cheese. I had already sealed the 2 bottom lines. I always do double sealing just to give the extra added protection. And we have been making cheese like this for over 10 years. We have 2 fridges that are just regular fridges, nothing special about them, dedicated to cheese making. The cheese will go into those 2 fridges, and we will flip them 2 to 3 times a week for the first month, and then we usually just flip them weekly after that point. The Parmesan we have in the backs of the fridge simply because it does take a very long time to age. You can see how I've just sealed 2 lines on the top. So this Parmesan is the 5th of October, 2022, and let's see how it is.
Okay, so we've got a Parmesan here tonight. It was made on the 5th of October, so we're roughly 6 and a bit months now, almost 6.5 months. It says 6 months to a year for ripening for this cheese, but I'm impatient. We're having spaghetti tonight, so we're gonna dive into this, and we are going to we're gonna see what this Parmesan tastes like. It's the cream wax.
Oh, you don't smell Parmesan?
No, I smell cream wax. All right, so not really.
Might need more aging time.
Could possibly be. We're gonna dive into this and see what. I mean, it's not dried out at this point. Still got some. Obviously, it's not no mold, no nothing. All right, let's try a slice of this. See how it tastes.
Didn't even really have to cut it off.
It's still pretty soft, so it might need.
We might just need to vacuum seal it back up.
We'll see. May need a bit more time to. Yeah, it probably needs a bit more aging time. It's still nice. Very mild. Probably needs a bit more aging though. So I think, pushing the rest of it for maybe another
6 months.
6 months.
So six.
Because there's still too much moisture in it.
So it's not enough time then.
No. Still tastes good though.
Oh well. We will come back then.
It's okay.
Well, we will vacuum seal this and come back. All right, guys, it's January 29th, 2025. We are going to try this Parmesan again. The last time we tried it, we didn't think it was quite ready. This Parmesan was made the 9th of November, 2022. We've been aging it in our fridge. Let's see how she tastes today. So, it smells like cheese. Looks pretty good. All right, I'll point you downwards and let's see what this looks like. Now she's hard. All right, we have the wax on the outer layer, so let's get rid of that. We're making spaghetti tonight, and Thomas decided he wanted some. When it's fresh, that just peels right off. Sometimes it doesn't. Parmesan with our spaghetti tonight. There's a little bit of leakage in there, but no mold or anything. It smells good. So let's cut it and taste it. Thomas, are you gonna taste this? You're the Parmesan expert. All right, you gonna try it? You be the taller than me by a long shot.
Actually tastes like Parmesan.
Does it?
Yeah, it does. It is ready.
It's softer though.
Yeah.
I think, and that's probably because we've had it vacuum sealed. Like, I wonder if we had it like a shelf.
It's decent.
Not bad. All right, I guess we are going to grade this up, put it on our spaghetti tonight. This cheese, while it is a Parmesan and it had the flavor a Parmesan did, it did not have a Parmesan texture. It was still very, very soft, and you can see by the way it's grating here. So normally when you're grating Parmesan, it's a very hard one. And I do think it's just because we've aged it in a vacuum sealed bag. It's still good though.
She may want more.
I want more, I can always come back out.
That is 100% accurate assessment.
Wait. I will say, as soon as the Parmesan hit the hot spaghetti, it started to melt. It melted beautifully.
Not food.
Your food is now video famous. I would be really curious to see how this cheese is in another 6 months, and we do have cheese in our fridge that is over 3 years old, so eventually we'll be trying these. But I really wanted to get the video out, and like I said, the flavor was good, just a little more moist than a regular Parmesan would be. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with us. We're gonna go eat spaghetti now. We'll see you next time.